So the guitarist I know, Dave Carroll, had a different kind of response when his guitar was kind of manhandled and damaged by United Airlines, and they really gave him the runaround and just sort of treated him like an old-fashioned customer. Oh yeah, you're the customer. What power do you have? You know, we're just going to blow you off and send you from one person to another to stand in line and try to get some help, but really we're not going to be in a big hurry to take care of your issue. So Dave didn't write a letter to the head of United Airlines. Instead, he wrote a song. Let's take a listen.
I flew United Airlines on my way to Nebraska. The plane departed Halifax, connecting in Chicago's O'Hare. While on the ground, a passenger said from the seat behind me, "My God, they're throwing guitars out there." When we landed in Nebraska, I confirmed what I suspected. My tailor had been the victim of a vicious act of malice at O'Hare. And so began a year-long saga up past the clock, don't ask me, and I'm sorry, sir, your plane can go nowhere. So to all the airlines people, from New York to New Delhi, including kind Miss Earlwig, who says the final word from her is no. I've heard all your excuses, and I've chased your wild gooses, and its attitude of yours, I say, must go. United, United, you broke my tailor's arm. United, United, some big help you are. You broke, you should fix it. You're liable just admit it. Should have flown with someone else or gone by car. 'Cause United breaks guitars. Yeah, United breaks guitars. Yeah, United breaks guitars.
Thank you very much, folks. My name is Dave Carroll. I come from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I had a problem with an airline. Could I have a show of hands, please? Anyone who has ever flown and had an airline experience that's negative or knows somebody that has? So it appears that we have a lot in common. And what I discovered with United Breaks Guitars was that you and I have a lot in common with everybody in the world who has ever flown. And I had the opportunity to vent my frustration in a way that I was comfortable with as a songwriter, and it has had a profound effect on my career that was instantaneous and I think unique. When I told this story, I basically told it one time, and there was a time in customer service where if you had a positive, negative, or a positive experience with customer service, you would tell 3 friends, and if you had a negative one, you would tell 14. And bad news has always traveled faster than good news, but now things are off the rails, and that's gone exponential. And in my case, I basically told the story once with a video, and over 100 million people in the world are now familiar with this song. And the YouTube hits are at, thank you, are at 10 million, just about, between the 3 videos. And this relatability that we share fueled one of the greatest customer service complaint campaigns ever. So I'm pleased to be here today to talk to you and share my story. I'm excited to hear what everybody else is saying. And in my experience, I had this problem, but United had to work to get these songs. It wasn't just a question that my guitar got broken and I got off the plane and said, well, I'm going to show you. I went through a customer service maze for over 9 months where I tried to get some assistance, and I was told by real people, virtual people, letters, phones, that basically it was my fault that this had happened. And I finally spoke to a customer service rep named Miss Earlwig in Chicago. And we had an email exchange back and forth. And she said, it's your fault. You didn't file the claim within 24 hours. There's nothing we can do. And I'm not going to return any more emails to you. So as a stream of consciousness, I said, okay, Miss Earlwig, you don't have to respond to me. I'll keep you tabbed on the progress. But if I were a lawyer, I might sue you. But I'm a songwriter, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 3 songs, and I don't know why I said 3, because as soon as I hit send, I said, that's going to be a lot of work. But I did. I said I was going to do 3, and I committed to it. And I said, I will keep you tabbed, and eventually there will be a video come out, and I will let you know, and hopefully you will tune in to watch it, because my goal will be to try and get 1 million hits in the year with these 3 videos combined. And I said, hopefully you will watch it, and together we can get to 1 million that much quicker. And I said, the only thing that concerns me is what rhymes with Earlwig right now. And so 7 months went by, and sure enough, I called some friends along the way that were great musicians. I said, United broke my guitar. I want to do a song about it. And they said, great, I'll do it. I'll play with you for free. I called some friends in the film industry in Halifax, and I said, these guys broke my guitar. I want to do a funny video about it. And they said, we'll give you a great video for free. And so I'm a volunteer firefighter in Halifax, and so we went to the fire hall, and we shot all the daytime scenes of the video that you were watching. And I had $150 in my budget, and that was spent on mustaches and sombreros and lunch for my friends, and there were no other costs involved because everybody volunteered, but there was a high level of professionalism in the production. And come July 6th, I put the video up on YouTube at about 11:30 at night, and I went to bed with 6 hits. And I thought, I had watched it about 6 times, and I thought, each hit is mine. I thought, this is going to take a long time, but I'm going to get to 1 million if it kills me. And I found out later that YouTube doesn't work that way, that one hit, it's based on an IP address, not how many times you watch it. So the numbers are actually a little more impressive than just 10 million views. But I woke up the next morning and I had 300 hits, and I was ecstatic. I thought, this is a great start. And I called my friends, and they said, yeah, this is awesome, but this might peter off. And by noon that day, there were 5,000 hits. And by YouTube has a counter that sometimes stalls, so you're not getting real-time results. But somebody had sent this video to the Consumerist website, and by 5 o'clock that night, while YouTube was showing 5,000 hits, the Consumerist was showing 25,000 hits. And I'd done a story in the local Halifax newspaper called the Carroll, and they had put it up on their website before the paper came out. The next day. And so I had a gig that night. My brother and I, Don, and Sons of Maxwell, we drove 2 hours outside Halifax, and we played our show. And I got off stage, and there was a cell phone message waiting for me from the LA Times, who had picked up on the story from the Chronicle Herald. And they wanted to know some of the answers of what was going on. And so I gave them this, that they put in an online story. The next morning, that's when things went absolutely crazy. You know, I operate a small business at home. I don't have an agent or a manager or anything. I'm completely independent. And the phone started ringing from news agencies, big and small. And I got an email from CNN. And I was debriefed, and it was on that night. I remember clearly it was one of the defining moments when I realized this could be something big, where I was doing what I considered to be a large regional Canadian television show talking about this. And just before I was going to go on during a commercial, the co-host came running up and said, "Oh my God, you're on the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer right now." And sure enough, I watched it when I got home, and it was just too bizarre. It was surreal. I saw a story on Barack Obama and the Pope, and there in the middle of that were my friends, the 3 amigos, singing their guts out with their sombreros on, and Wolf Blitzer, I think he might have danced a little, and he was smiling a little, and so I thought, this is something really interesting, and this could be really big. And sure enough, it went completely viral. And so that was Wednesday. By Friday, I had reached the 1 million, and by Sunday, it had gone to 2 million. A week later, it was at 3 million. And today, it's that one video sitting at 8.25 million hits, and the second video in the trilogy is at 1 million, and the third one, which is just released, is chugging away at nearly 100,000. And so when you combine them all, it's been a real experience. It occurred to me early on when it was going viral that initially I had no plan what we were going to do. I was just responding when United wasn't going to do anything. And So I put the video up, but it occurred to me when things were really going crazy that that I had an opportunity maybe, instead of just voicing my own complaint, that this experience could compel a major airline and a major company in the world to change the way they think about how they deal with their customers. And essentially that has happened. In the first 2 weeks, life inside a media frenzy for an independent musician without a publicist and a team can be a little crazy. To make matters more interesting, my wife and I had a baby boy. He was 3 months old at the time, our first one, so we were tired all the time and trying to make sense of what it's like to be parents. And the office was crazy. We doubled the size of our office by getting a 2-line phone, and got a card table as an extra desk, and I realized we were officially overwhelmed when my wife was answering a phone call, doing an email, and breastfeeding our son at the same time. And I had a good friend named Julian Marentet who left his job, took a leave of absence for a couple of weeks, and we were driving like madmen all over Halifax, driving to a TV station to do a live satellite feed while I'm taking 2 calls. There was a point where we were driving somewhere, and he took a call from Bob Taylor from Taylor Guitars. And as a guitar player, that's a cool call you want to take. And he started talking to him, and next thing I knew, he had hung up on him. And I said, "You just hung up on Bob Taylor." And he says, "Yeah, but I got Letterman on the line." I said, "Okay, well, call Bob back and take that call." Because that was the week where everything was possible, where everybody, there was talk of going on Letterman. There was that same week, I almost opened for Paul McCartney in Halifax. And so big things were happening, and it was a really exciting time. Interesting things continue to happen, but that was when it was really going viral. That was crazy. The effects on my career, as you might expect, those things have happened. The CD sales, online sales have increased exponentially right away. Our mother, Sharon, does all of our physical distribution, and so I'd asked her how the sales were going. She says, "You got to come over and see this." So I went over, and there on the couch she had prepackaged CDs ready to be shipped all over the world, piled 10 high, 2 deep, all the full length of the sofa. And I said, "This is incredible." She goes, "This is our 3rd sofa full." And I said, "This business is going crazy. I got to buy you a sectional sofa." And so the online sales, the CD sales were great. And the music business, though, ironically, has been kind of quick to downplay or completely ignore what's happened, because the song, they want to say the song is quirky, or some other people have said it's a YouTube phenomenon, but it's not a legitimate musical experience. And it's kind of like a cat that flushes the toilet, and you see it and you forget it. Except people haven't forgotten this, because it's a lot bigger than that. And it's a legitimate music experience, because what do you think happens when 100 million people have heard about this song? They could probably check it out on YouTube, and that's what's happened. I had my website up at the front and the back of that video, and a lot of people have come to check out that song in particular, and then they discovered that I have a whole career, 20 years of playing music and writing songs that aren't like that, and CDs to sell, and music to offer, and shows to play. And traditionally, the way the music industry has evolved has been that there's been the artist trying to reach the fans, and in the middle, there's now a multi-billion-dollar music industry that artists have to navigate and somehow compromise themselves or give up portions of their career to the music industry to get to the end user. And I kind of liken it to the Wright brothers when they took their first flight. They didn't do any barrel rolls or anything when they came out of this first flight. What they did that was unique was they went from point A to point B without touching the ground or sailing on the water. And other people could have monetized this better or done something different, but this is one of the first times that somebody in the music business had no team around them, not one single music industry personality that was able to go from virtual obscurity to reaching millions of people with their music and introducing them. And the results have been that I have a brand now and fans around the world for music that isn't United Breaks Guitars, and it's quite unique. I've also been happy to say that I've been commissioned to write songs for really interesting projects that might not have happened otherwise. One of the ones I'm working on right now is a very cool project to reclaim the bodies of 3 servicemen who crashed in Antarctica in 1946. They're buried under ice now because it's been snowing and freezing for the last 70 years, and so they're buried, I think, over 100 feet below the ice, and there's a project where they're going to bring these servicemen back. I think it's a great project. It's what I would call on the right side of right. I'm happy to be associated with that, and I'm trying to write a song that will help bring awareness to that. And this whole idea of right side of right is something that I've developed. There's a website now, in addition to the music, because my career isn't about music anymore completely. There's a whole other side. And so I've developed a website called therightside.ofright.com. And that website brings people together. I'm inviting people with bad customer service experiences to share them, but I'm also inviting people that have had great customer service experiences to share those as well, because it's not just enough to bring a company down. It's the best learning tool sometimes how to do it right. And this website is exciting. It's evolving. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but it's a place where solutions, I'm hoping, will occur. I've also been doing speaking. I'm here today, I guess, partially as a speaker, and it's a new thing to me. I'm hopefully getting better at it as I go along, and I'm learning that what I'm talking about is changing all the time, because I'm learning what's gone on in the last 6 months, because I've been oblivious, I guess, to the ramifications of and the implications of what's gone on. But one of the things that I had a chance to do was to go and speak sort of as an advocate in Washington on Capitol Hill, and for a thing called the Passengers' Rights Stakeholders meeting, for primarily for people that have been on planes for long periods of time on tarmacs. I went to speak on the issue of property, but it was pretty cool that I was in the Rayburn building on Capitol Hill speaking at a congressional hearing, just like the Iran-Contra type of thing, except not quite. And I actually got to sing my testimony, which I'm told never happens in this thing. So I gave my testimony and I sang my testimony on Capitol Hill. And while I was there, sort of a light went on, and I kind of learned what all this is really about, because there was a CEO of a major American airline, an ex-CEO, and he was apparently on the side of the stakeholders, but I didn't understand that. And I wasn't the only one, because Senator Barbara Boxer, who was sponsoring this bill, she wasn't there to hear him speak, but she came back in and went up one side of him and down the other, because she thought he was against the bill, and he had to say, "Senator, I'm with you." And one of the things that he said in his speech was that the issue of people being stuck on tarmacs for long periods of time happens so infrequently that, in essence, it's statistically insignificant as compared to all of the planes that take off on time. And I realized that this person had been in business, very successful for a long time, but didn't understand what social media was about or where customer service was going. And I thought more about that since, and it's an incredible thing that every big company should now be getting on board, that no customer is statistically insignificant. Big companies have been thinking about doing it mostly right most of the time. That's been the model, where you try to get it mostly right most of the time, and when you don't, you try and ride it out. And they're working on that old negative experience tells 14 people model. Well, that's not the way it is anymore. And I think big companies that want to survive have to adapt their thinking. They're going to have to say, we have to try and get it right every time for every customer, knowing that that's never going to happen. But people that strive that way, they think if a customer has a bad experience, that's a bad day, and that has to be solved. And if you have that philosophy going in, you're more likely going to have a recovery position and a recovery plan. And so going forward, that's what I'm thinking about in my own business, and I try to tell other people as well. It's very important. I will just finish with a little story that I thought was kind of cute. That there were some people, I got this on a blog, that someone was flying at JFK, and they got off their plane, they got on the shuttle, and they were with a bunch of strangers, and they were traveling from one terminal to the other, and somehow somebody saw United, or something spurred them to start singing United Breaks Guitars, and the whole shuttle started singing along with them. And it kind of goes with what I started off saying, that you and I and everybody else in the world who has flown has something in common. And the people that were on that shuttle would have probably gone through a ride like that every day and never talked to anybody else, but they were united by the fact that they all have property, they all respect their property, and they expect big companies to respect it as well. And if you Google or Bing United Breaks Guitars, you put that phrase in quotes, you'll find 16 million references on the internet today. And that, to me, says that no customer is statistically insignificant. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.